Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Bitcoin is once again repeating history, so do not be fooled by any short-term bearish price action. While the price is now bouncing from exact important support, while the price is also flashing a new signal in the short term that we need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside my exact Bitcoin trading strategy after the latest Fed meeting, while Ethereum is now reclaiming a critical level on the chart. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in this video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just giving you a quick update on today's FOMC meeting, also known as a Fed meeting, and as expected, the Federal Reserve decided to keep interest rates the same. And so as soon as that got released, that was relatively neutral for the markets, but essentially Jerome Powell was talking about rate cuts coming later this year and also tapering quantitative tightening. And in case you're new to all of this, you can think of rate cuts as bullish, and you can also think of tapering quantitative tightening, which basically means getting rid of QT, and QT is bearish, by the way, so getting rid of QT is bullish. So basically talking about tapering QT, that was bullish, and talking about rate cuts, that was also bullish in the Jerome Powell press conference. And so overall, the Fed meeting today was neutral to bullish, neutral to start off with the rate decision, and the press conference was relatively bullish. And in case you're wondering about future Fed meetings, the next FOMC meeting, also known as a Fed meeting, is happening on the 1st of May. And right now, the market is also expecting for the Fed to hold interest rates at the same level at the next Fed meeting in May. But as always, I'll keep you up to date on all of this as soon as we get closer to these events. And getting into the next Bitcoin news today, of course, looking at the Bitcoin ETF news, just yesterday we had the worst day on record, which is why we saw another dip to the downside yesterday, because we actually saw a decent net outflow of nearly $1/3 billion. And once again, that was the worst day on record just yesterday. If we're looking at the breakdown, we saw relatively small inflows for both BlackRock and Fidelity. Meanwhile, at the same time as those relatively low inflows into the other ETFs, we saw another decent size outflow from Grayscale of over $440 million US. And so once again, that led to a net outflow just yesterday of around $326.2 million US, leaving the Bitcoin ETFs. But of course, that was yesterday, and we already can see the dump that happened yesterday that was likely caused by this net outflow from the ETFs. And so obviously, if these net outflows continue, then obviously I would expect more bearish price action if we see the net outflows continue. But as I've been saying for months now on the channel, if we're seeing significant net inflows, then it will be hard to see any bearish price action, any significant bearish price action if we're seeing significant net inflows. But once again, it's important to remember that second bit of that quote. Once again, I'm always saying that we need to pay attention to the net inflows and net outflows here in the Bitcoin ETFs. And so as always, I will keep you up to date every day when these ETFs are trading here on the channel. And so make sure you subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos. But anyway, with that being said, getting into the Bitcoin chart, looking at the weekly Bitcoin chart, and right now we can still see Bitcoin is once again repeating history. Because it's very clear that for a while now, Bitcoin has been in a bullish market. And if we're looking at the last bull market, the last bull cycle that we saw back in 2020 going into 2021, this horizontal line on the left-hand side of the screen is the previous cycle all-time high at $20,000. So that was the old all-time high breakout in the last bull cycle. And we can see here on the weekly time frame that the price of Bitcoin struggled around that all-time high breakout for around 3 to 4 weeks before we eventually saw a strong breakout straight to the upside. And some of that struggle around that all-time high breakout resulted in short-term rejections, like for example a 16% rejection, also a 17% rejection from that all-time high breakout level. And if we're looking at what we've just seen recently in the price of Bitcoin, we saw pretty much a perfect 17% rejection, very similar to what we saw last time. And so once again, when we're looking at the bigger picture, we are still in a bullish market trending to the upside. We're just seeing short-term bearish price action here and there, which is very normal to see even during a bullish market. And so this is why I've been saying do not be fooled by short-term moves. When in doubt, zoom out, look at the bigger picture. And right now, we're still technically repeating history. We're still trading very close to that all-time high breakout level. And with that being said, taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin chart, and once again, as I've also been saying since all the way back here, the standard sort of pullback that we've been seeing so far in this bull market has been roughly around a 20% pullback. And so basically, if we start to see the price of Bitcoin pulling back, let's just say 15% from the local high, or 17% or 18%, basically getting closer towards a 20% pullback, then that is where we should be looking at possible maximum opportunity, at least in the short term, for the price of Bitcoin. Because once again, simply based on what we've seen time and time again throughout this bull market, we've only seen around 20% pullbacks as some of the biggest pullbacks so far in this bull market. Which basically means if you're betting on seeing a 30 or 40 or 50% pullback, we might not see that happen at all. And obviously, if you're waiting for, let's just say, a 40% pullback, since all the way back down here at around 20 to 30K, even if we now see that 40% pullback that you were eventually expecting, ultimately, you would still be buying in at much higher prices than if you just bought at these much lower prices at, let's just say, a 15 or 20% pullback. And so just waiting for a massive pullback in order to buy Bitcoin sometimes is not always the best strategy, so keep that in mind. Once again, we've just recently seen from high to low around a 17 to 18% pullback, which for the standard pullback in this bull market was actually a pretty good opportunity since we've only really seen around 20% pullbacks as a standard pullback. And once again, this is nothing new here on the channel. I've been talking about this over and over again since all the way back here actually in November last year. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, what we are now seeing in the DXY is actually a pullback to the downside over the last 1 day, which is a short-term bullish signal for Bitcoin. Because in case you're new to all of this, all you really need to know is if the DXY is bullish, that's usually bearish for Bitcoin and crypto. But if the DXY is bearish, that is usually bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. And so once again, with the slight pullback today in the DXY, that's technically a short-term bullish signal for Bitcoin, at least as of right now. And if we're taking a look at the 8-hour Bitcoin chart, obviously, as I've been saying since all the way back here at around 73 to 74,000, we did have this active bearish divergence on the 8-hour time frame. And so far, this has been playing out very well in the form of this short-term pullback, basically reduced bullish momentum. But yesterday, I said that the 8-hour Bitcoin RSI is getting very close to oversold territories. And now, over the last 1 day, we've pretty much hit oversold territories. The RSI on the 8-hour time frame brushed against oversold territories for the first time since the price was actually below $40,000 back in January this year. And so once again, as I said yesterday, this means we have somewhat limited room to the downside, at least in the short term, which means we should not really go too much further to the downside. Otherwise, the RSI will go too far into oversold territories. And if we're taking a look at the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, we can see right now the price of Bitcoin is bouncing exactly from this area of support that I've been talking about for a long time now on the channel. And this area of support is still sitting in between around 61,000 to 62,000. And in fact, as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is attempting a breakout above this short-term area of resistance, which was previous support back here, and that's sitting in between around 65,000 to 66,000. And so if the price of Bitcoin can now hold above that area, basically confirm this breakout with candle closes, or even better, if we flip that area into new support again, then the next important resistance to the upside in the short term is sitting in between around 68,500 to 70,000. And basically, once we actually break out back above $70,000, then in that scenario, it's very likely that we'll quickly recover back up towards the all-time high at around 73 to 74,000 once we actually see a confirmed breakout back above 70,000. And if we're zooming further into the short term, we can see that right now the price of Bitcoin on the 1 hour time frame is playing out yet another short-term bullish divergence. And now, considering this is only on the 1 hour time frame, I don't exactly expect this specific pattern right here to continue playing out much longer, maybe over the next 1 day or so. But just keep in mind, only on the 1 hour time frame here, we're talking about very small patterns and moves, but obviously the price can continue further to the upside due to other factors, for example, like the RSI on the 8 hour time frame being oversold, or for example, the DXY dropping back to the downside, or the price of Bitcoin simply repeating history on the weekly time frame, getting very close to a major breakout. But either way, with all of that being said, my Bitcoin trading strategy right now has not changed at all over the last few days. I've been talking about this non-stop over the last few days, and obviously been sharing this transparently here on this channel. And basically, the moment I started entering this long position all the way back here, I said I've set up a lot more buy orders to the downside in case we see a continued move to the downside. And that's exactly what we saw over the last few days, a continued dip to the downside, which simply triggered more of my buy orders, entering me further into that long position. And so as of right now, this Bitcoin long position that I've been sharing transparently here on the channel over the last few days, step by step, is currently a $100,000 long position and currently sitting around $5,000 in profits. And even if we see another move back to the downside, once again, I still have more buy orders to the downside to catch a potential another move to the downside. Once again, I don't exactly expect that to happen. It's just if that actually happens, then I will take advantage of that with these extra buy orders. But either way, the plan for this long position was just to catch this dip to the downside, getting ready for that next leg to the upside in the bull market. And so obviously, if you've been following this channel, even just for the last few days, I've been sharing this trading opportunity once again with all of you. And so if you took this trading opportunity, congratulations, because right now you should be making some decent money. And if you're wondering where you can take trades just like this for any crypto, personally, I'm taking this trade over on Bybit right now. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And also, if you use that link to Bybit, you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And also, if you use the link down below this video to Bitflex, you can also get an exclusive deposit bonus over there, but only if you use the link down below this video. And so if you're trading crypto anyway, or if you're preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well get set up on one of those exchanges using those links down below this video if you want to get those extra bonuses. And if you're new to this channel and you missed this trading opportunity right here that I shared over the last few days, do not worry, there's always more trading opportunities that I share here on the channel. And so make sure you subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important opportunities where you could potentially make a lot of easy money. But anyway, now talking about possible short-term price targets for Bitcoin, and right now we have a lot of liquidity to the upside, sitting at roughly around 69.1k. And so that could be a short-term price target to the upside for this trade right here, which means personally, I'd potentially be looking at that level or a little bit below that level, let's just say around 68,500 as a possible level to take some profits off the table just for this long position right here. But above that, we also have a lot more liquidity sitting at around 74,000 near the all-time high. And now getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the weekly ETH to US dollar chart. And right now, as of recording this video, the price of ETH is reclaiming a critical level on the chart. Because I've been saying over the last few days that this area sitting in between 3.4k to 3.5k is a very important area on the chart. But ultimately, in order to confirm a break back below that area, we need to see a weekly candle close confirm back below 3.4k, and the next weekly candle close is still in around 4 days from now, so there's still plenty of time for this weekly candle to actually confirm. And so for as long as the price of ETH is still holding above around 3.4k in 4 days from now, then the price of ETH can still be in the clear for this breakout towards the all-time high. And if we're taking a look at the Fibonacci levels on the linear settings, we've also got that 3.4k to 3.5k area, very important here on the chart, the golden pocket. And we actually have the 78.6% Fibonacci level of resistance on the linear settings sitting very close to 4.1k, which recently acted as strong resistance. And so once again, 4.1k is still the important resistance in the short term to pay attention to, and above 4.1k, the next important resistance or significant resistance is simply the all-time high at around 4.8 to 4.9k. And as I've said over the last few days, if we see a confirmed break back below 3.4k, then in that case, we could actually see a drop below $3,000 back into the $2,000 range, but only if we confirm a break back below 3.4k, which as of right now has not yet happened on the weekly time frame with a weekly candle close. And if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 4-hour time frame, over the last one day, we actually bounced around this area of support with actually a small fake out to the downside, because this area of support was sitting in between around 3.2k to 3250, and we actually saw a bounce at around 3150. But ultimately, there was still a lot of buyers around that price range, around that 3.2k level, give or take. And so once again, right now the price of ETH is clearly bouncing back to the upside, at least in the short term here, and is currently, at the time of recording this video, running into a bit of short-term resistance, sitting in between around 3470, going up towards 3530. And if we see a confirmed breakout back above 3530 and ideally flip that level into new support again, then we could have a bit of resistance right here at around 3650. But above that, the next important area of resistance in the short term is sitting in between around 3750 to 3.8k. And above that, the next resistance is sitting closer towards 3.9k. But it'll be pretty much safe to say that once we actually see a confirmed breakout back above 3.8k, once we break out back above that level right there, it'll be very likely that the price of ETH at that point will quickly return up towards this local high, sitting at around 4.1k. And as for the price of Solana in the short term, obviously over the last couple of days, we did indeed see this short-term bearish divergence play out with reduced bullish momentum in the form of a short-term pullback. But considering the fact that this is only on the 4-hour time frame, I no longer expect this bearish divergence to continue to play out anymore, and instead it's actually likely that we could continue on with the larger bullish trend. And obviously we are still clearly within a larger bullish trend, especially on the weekly time frame. It's just obviously in the short term we can see short-term pauses and setbacks during a larger bullish trend. And as for other important levels of support and resistance for Solana, those have not changed over the last few days. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about those, then check out my last few videos here on the channel. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to those exchanges to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can open and close long positions or short positions to make money if the price is bullish or bearish. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.